The powerful Pantsir air defense system.
Good morning, fellas. It's time for a new build. Something different for me. I'm going to do up this Zvezda SA22 Greyhound, I think is the NATO name, but it's Pantsir S1. Jim Starkweather from Kitmaker Network sent it to me. I appreciate that. Thank you. We're going to do it in this scheme. It's a pretty complex build. There's a lot of parts. I'm an aircraft guy, so weathering is going to be interesting. High parts count, like I said. The instructions are iffy. One annoyance for me, not to start complaining, but is color callouts for some things but not others. I don't know why that is. It frustrates me. If I have to get reference pictures for the stuff, which I was probably going to do anyways, why even bother doing half and not all? But anyways, it's a complex build. I'll probably try and do a video of, say, the frame and engine and the body, maybe painting, maybe weathering. I don't know. I don't want to get too caught up in a big long build series, but anyways, looking forward to it. Let's get going. So I've got some color down on this engine. Zoom in there. I just kind of varied the aluminum tones on it and brush painted some filters. Just like I said, not much is going to be seen on it, but I like to use different brands for a couple of different reasons. I'm a paint nerd and I like to collect paints, but it gives you different tones as well without having to mix, which isn't too big of a deal. I'm sure you could just add some darker metal tones into your mix. I've noticed this splash aluminum, I really like this a lot. I didn't care for the paint that much. It was okay, but for it's a car thing. Not that I do a lot of cars, but that's probably why I didn't like it. But for a base paint, it was okay, but not great. But this aluminum's really good if you can get a hold of it. I use some Alclad, some MRP, which is always great. And I like the old Testors metallizers, and I like their sealer. A lot of people don't. They give Testors a hard time, but this and their dull coat are things that I'm going to miss, because I believe they've canceled these lines. Now I think here's the dull coat, really good stuff. I think they're going to keep the old square bottles in craft stores or something, so maybe you'll still be able to get some of this stuff, but I think these metallizers are done. Zoom back out here. I've got this frame together, which wasn't too bad. The fit of everything seemed fine. A lot of cleanup, and I still have a little bit to do, but it all was relatively easy. The cab has lots of parts, and it looks like it sandwiches interior and exterior parts, so that's what I'm going to get into next. But so far not bad. The sprues are not marked. Excuse me, so the A sprue, B sprue. I keep having to refer back to see what sprue it is. There's a lot of plastic in this kit too. For only being, what, 7 sprues, there's a lot of plastic. But the instructions are okay, not fantastic, but yeah, so far it's pretty good. It's not so bad at all. Gonna try and bang this frame out and get the engine in, and then the frame looks to be all black. And that's always a challenge for me, because how do you weather that and not make it look like a toy? So I'll probably end up using, once again, a bunch of different shades of black to try and get some variance in there and make it interesting. Working on the fuel tanks here, and something has come to mind to discuss. These seams always end up being visible, and it's hard to get rid of it in between the straps. They're so thin. So sometimes you can get a micro chisel and get it in here to scrape this out. Sorry, I'll get in frame here to scrape this out. I think there's some sanding products out there. I should look at more. I bought these. I think they call them a needle file. They're like a sanding stick. I used this a little bit in here. I couldn't really get this in that well to do it on the chisel side. These are crappy, honestly. They've helped me out in a couple situations. Like, they're not completely useless, but they're by no means fantastic. The other way of doing it is trying to get a flat blade in there and trying to scrape it out. But another issue I've been having, being that I use lacquer products for basically everything, leave in the comments if you guys use the Vallejo or the Perfect Plastic, the water-based putties. I find them to be not good. Trying to be polite. They're good for certain situations where you can smear them in like along wing roots and then use a Q-tip and get it out. But I find them as a general filler to be not the best. I use lacquer products, or CA is mainly what I use now, which I'm going to use here if I can get the lid off. I struggle with CA. See what I guess I don't clean it enough. It ends up being a pain in the ass. You can see it's all marked up from the jaws of my pliers. I'm just going to show you what I do. My pliers are MIA. Here they are. I just use channel locks on everything. I use this on my airbrush a lot too, which you're probably not supposed to do. I'm hard on my stuff. Let's get that off. Let's see here. I don't normally do step-by-step stuff in my videos because I'm kind of a kamikaze builder. My stuff isn't really Paul Busnick type of thought planned out videos. But anyways, so I take CA and kind of, this is like a knockoff glue looper thing. I want to get real glue loopers because this is iffy. Yeah, that's not working. I take thin CA and I run it, it really doesn't matter, along the seam. Now the part that I think people struggle with, and I did too, was sanding this. Like, I will hit this in a few seconds here, and I'll sand this away immediately. But generally now with seams, where'd that other tank go, I try to sand the material away enough where the seam is gone. Anytime, even on fuselage halves, when I get misalignment, say there's a step, I'll sand the high part down so there's no step anymore. I just find filler is problematic. So to build the low side up to the high edge is, for me, it's not been good. I try and knock everything down. I'll just obliterate the detail if I have to, and try and put the detail back in afterwards. I know it's a pain sometimes, but it's been a better process for me, less problematic long term. So yeah, I'm going to sand this right away right now, because that's the main complaint with CA, is it's difficult to sand. Now, I know Sean from Primed Model Works uses gunmetal pigment, I think it's Megamo stuff, in his CA to make it easier to sand. Some people use talcum powder. Buddy sent me this dental acrylic to put into it. I haven't really been using it. I don't find it to be that much easier to sand with it, and that for sure could be me 100%. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, but you get the point. I don't really do step-by-step stuff here. You get the point. So I'll hit this with CA and then sand it back, and hopefully the CA is seeped in any remnants of that seam. So now I'll put a lacquer-based primer on there, a lacquer-based paint, and I think the issue is if you have any remnants of a seam and the primer fills that, because I use a surfacer, sometimes the lacquer-based paint, like I'm spraying 60% lacquer to 40% paint, it reactivates it, and then I get ghost seams. I think it happens with a lot of guys. But anyways, that's how I've been trying to alleviate that problem. I just hit everything. I try to sand down as much as I can so it's gone. And then I fill it with CA. Like, I'll sand this back more. You can see a visible seam there. You can see where it's shiny. I will sand this down until that's gone, and then I'll hit it with CA, and we'll see if we get ghost seaming in the end. But hopefully that helps. That's about as step-by-step as I get. Okay, so we've got most of the parts together here in steps 24 through 28. You put the engine in 25, and then kind of put these parts around it for the frame structure. So I need to paint the frame, so I'm going to try and skip this, get as much on it as I can, and then put the engine in and work around that. And there's some examples of things like this fuel tank goes on the frame here, sits on like this, and it will be hard to paint. It'll be hard to get in behind the tank here, so I'm not going to glue things like that on. Like, I'll try and paint this and then attach it afterwards so I get paint in between. I'm always torn. I haven't done a lot of vehicles, but I'm always kind of torn on how to do it because of that reason, getting paint in the tight spots, not get dusting and whatnot. But anyways, it's definitely coming together. I think I'll wrap the video up the first on this, and then I'll get it all together for the second video. I'll leave you with some footage about the Pantsir S1. So, cheers.
Of its design, the first finished version was completed in 1995 with the 1L36 radar. Later, another would be designed as well. It's a short to medium range ground-based air defense system, which is wheeled, tracked, or stationary, with 2 to 3 operators. Its air defense consists of automatic anti-aircraft guns and surface-to-air missiles with radar or optical target tracking and radio command guidance. Its purpose is the protection of civil and military point and area targets for motorized or mechanized troops up to regimental sizes, or as defensive assets of higher-ranking air defense systems like the S-300 and S-400. The system has the capability for anti-munitions missions, and it can hit targets on the waterline or above the water. It can also operate in fully automatic mode, having the ability to work in a completely passive mode as well. The probability of hitting a target for one rocket is no less than 0.7, with a reaction time of 4 to 6 seconds. It can fire missiles and gun armament while in motion, and for its main radar station, early detection in height may be between 0 to 60 or 26 to 82 degrees, depending on the mode. After receiving target coordinates, it may defeat the target within a range from -5 to +85. The interval between missile launches is 1 to 1.5 seconds. The Pantsir features a crew of 3, a main armament which features 95YA6 series, 95YA62M series missile targets, and 23YA6 missile 57E6 and 57E6E. It also has a secondary armament with 2 dual 2A38M 30mm autocannon guns. Its main features include a combined missile and gun armament, an immune radar and optical fire control system consisting of a target tracking and missile guidance radar, along with a thermal imager for target tracking and missile direction finding. It can engage up to 4 targets at once with automatic target engagement mode, firing surface-to-air missiles in radar mode, and also has an autonomous operation with an automatic target engagement cycle from target acquisition to engagement. It also features the use of a combat vehicle as part of a battery in different combat operation modes, and the engagement of a target by the missile and gun armament from a stationary position, along with being on the move. Its modular design of the combat vehicle allows the development of its different versions.